and the victim has to pay the deductible, which in many cases is $500 to $1,000. I had one woman stop me and mention to me this was the third time this has happened to her car. And because her deductible was so high, she had to make adjustments in her home, including the purchase of food, because she could not afford it any longer, and she could not afford the third deductible. So these are very real victims for very real crimes. So yes, we take this seriously. All these agencies took this very seriously. Our officers and detectives worked tirelessly for 3 weeks, countless hours, to identify the suspects in these cases, to help the community hold these responsible for these events accountable to the victims. This extensive work paid off at the end of last week when, while working with our partner law enforcement agencies, we arrested a young man, 16 years of age, and managed to link him to all 121 events throughout the region, including every event here in Laurel. A search warrant was served at his home, resulting in the recovery of numerous credit cards, over 20 sets of vehicle keys, and other evidence linking him to these crimes. The young man was arrested and brought to the station. Now, I would like to tell you that's the end of the story there, but that's not the end of the story. Our detectives, with the support of the State's Attorney's Office, contacted the Department of Juvenile Services here in Maryland and requested that the young man be held due to the extent of this crime spree, his extensive damage to the community, and the harm to so many victims. We don't do this lightly. We don't ask for young people to be held on a whim. We do so to help protect the community and them. However, DJS advised our detectives to release him back into the home then. They noted that he did not have a prior record, although I would offer well over 100 cases in one night gives you a pretty good record to go on. That he was not a flight risk, and I'll address that in a moment, and that these were not violent crimes, as if that lessens the impact on those 121 victims. So yes, 5 hours after we were at his house, he was released back into the community, back into the environment that allowed him to be out roaming the streets in all of these counties late at night and in the early morning, doing these crimes to begin with. 5 hours. I have little hope there will be further accountability for him due to this broken system, due to this gap in the concern for his safety and the public's safety, except from the police departments. I have some hope, but not much. Also adding to this, I will note, this is after he returned to the home early the morning we were there to serve the search warrant, in a vehicle he had stolen earlier that night, which happened to be the same vehicle we believe he stole a couple of weeks ago that we recovered near his home a couple of days before the search warrant. Yes, he went back out and stole the same car and brought it back, which is the same cars you've seen in the videos. Finally, although under Maryland law, we are not permitted to interview him because of his age, I'm glad to let you know that through further painstaking work by the detectives and officers in this case, we've managed to identify 2 more of his accomplices, and they will be in custody later today to be held accountable for these crimes. To the community, I want to let you know, we've heard you. We know you are very, very upset about these crimes. We know the adverse effects it has upon you and your families. And the police departments you see up here today, we care. We take action that we need to take to help protect you and try to help make you whole. The system's broken, but it's not broken here. Thank you. Any questions? Can you speak up just a little bit, please? Honestly, I have little hope it's going to go further than that. I have little hope that these 121 victims will be made whole, because they should be made whole. They should have their deductibles paid back to them. They should, at least to the extent they can, be brought as close to being whole as they were prior to the events. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm under no illusion that there will be extensive time of rehabilitation for this, because, as they said to us, they consider this a lower level crime. I urge them to come to my community meetings and and hear how lower level it is. I got one next week. Have them come to that meeting and listen to the community on the west side about how low level this is, because it's not considered low level to them.
You're obviously worked up about this, the community is worked up. What's your message to parents and the community at large, TCCs, these headlines about teenagers, 13 or 15, in this case, 16 years old, committing crimes?
I would have a couple of messages. First off, understand a lot of times they're coming from situations that are bad for them as well. That's something else we lose, not be able to interview them. The second most common way to find a child was being abused or neglected, other than schools, was through police interviews due to activity they were in. We don't have that anymore, so we don't have those referrals to get them wraparound services like we used to help them. Second thing I would ask them to do is, the laws that have been passed over the past 5 years, although good-natured, I believe some of the people that pushed them through had a good heart when they did it. It just wasn't too well thought out. And I urge them to contact their legislatures down in Annapolis and get this changed. People need to be held accountable for this.
Chief, to be clear, after you had him in custody, after he returned to the home, he appeared in a stolen car?
We did not have him in custody. We recovered the car stolen to begin with. We found it in that neighborhood. We know it was a vehicle that was used and it was stolen in the prior events. We returned that car where it belonged, and then it was stolen just after 9 o'clock in the evening, and we were there later in the morning to serve the search warrant. Yes, by the same person.
Any indication he's done anything since you had your hands on him?
As I mentioned, he was released back after 5 hours. Look, we're not going to lay every theft from auto in the region on him and his group, but I will note we had 17 the next night.
You're not linking him to that?
At this point, no, not to the second series.
The two accomplices, are they adults, are they teenagers as well?
My understanding is they're teens.
DJS has been under fire. Mr. Raleigh has been under fire. We know recently that the majority of cases have been just dismissed at initial contact. Right? That's got to, overall, what's going on? What's your opinion about how DJS is handling?
So, of course, I'm obviously not thrilled with this particular case and some other cases we've had, but I will say this. I don't think it's nefarious. I think it's just a different idea of how this should go, and it's not working. So the community is speaking. Don't have to listen to me. Don't have to listen to the other agencies up here. Listen to the community. That's who we have to listen to.
And just confirming about the other things, Laurel, Prince George's, and Howard County.
Yes, sir. And I want to, again, thank them for coming. Thank you all for coming. I know it's a beautiful day outside, and I was prepared to be outside, because that's why I wore my jacket. If no further questions, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. So glad you put my name on there. I never would have remembered it.
I assume he's not attending school.
I'm assuming 4 in the morning he's not in school.
He's chronically true. You know that? You don't know.
And here's the thing too.